This parable that Jesus tells, it's got a ton of details in it, and it can get really tricky when you get into all the details. If you would like to do that, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, the Bible study in the morning and the evening, we're going to cover this parable. You are welcome to come and dig in with it. But for today, I thought it might be a little better for us if we did the opposite. Instead of going into the details of the parable, maybe we could take a couple steps backward. That's why I wanted you to hear that little song. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. That is, be ready. Jesus is telling us we need to be ready. And the context of the story is, most biblical scholars will tell you that what Jesus is thinking about is the second coming. Sometimes people read the parable and think about their own death. The question is, are you and I ready? For the Lord's return, are you and I ready should we die? Those are great questions, of course, but I could be wrong. But I'm thinking that most of you did not get up this morning, turn to somebody at breakfast and say, I wonder if the Lord is going to come back today. It's just not on our mind. And indeed, even our death, most of us, we don't think about that kind of stuff. It's an awkward thought, and so we push it aside. And so in that sense, the parable isn't very helpful to us. It doesn't act as motivation, if you will. But the last part of that little song, the time is drawing nigh. You might run out of time, would be a way to put it. I'm just wondering if that might not be something that you and I could get our heads around. We might run out of time. The students here, you guys know this. Sometimes you get in one of those moods, you say, oh, I got plenty of time. I got plenty of time to read that assignment. I got plenty of time to write that paper, write that report. I got plenty of time to study for the test, for the exam. And is it not true that sometimes time kind of runs out? We don't have as much time. Certainly true with relationships. How many of us, I have plenty of time to write those letters or to call people, to reconnect with people from the past that I'd like to rekindle that relationship with. I have plenty of time maybe to reconcile with someone where the relationship got a little off track. I have plenty of time to say how I feel, tell people I love them, and we sometimes don't ever get to do it. Some of us know stories in funeral homes of people standing there with all these regrets. Oh, I only wish I had, because they ran out of time. Same thing's true in our spiritual life. You can certainly say, oh, I have plenty of time later to have get a really good prayer life going. I'll have plenty of time to read my Bible, to study, to read good books about the faith. I'll have plenty of time to do all that. I'll have plenty of time to volunteer at the church, things like that. And, we wake up one day and where did all the time go? I ran out of time. That might be a good reminder to us if, as I go through that list, something jumps out at you, something maybe not on that list, where you realize I have been putting it off for whatever reason, maybe a good reason, but maybe the parable today is the good Lord just kind of nudging us a little bit, maybe you shouldn't be putting that off any longer. The other thing that might help us is this, going back to this idea of being ready. Rather than thinking about it in terms of the second coming or our death, you could ask yourself, am I ready to take advantage of opportunities? Let me give you just a simple example. Take your time, for example. We live in a culture where if you say to somebody, I'm busy, they look at you and good for you, because we like people that are busy. We think that makes them somehow good. I mean, really, would you walk up to somebody and say, oh, I'm such a lazy guy? You just wouldn't do it. But no, I'm busy. And it's like this badge of honor. But if you think about it, indeed, some of us do. We have schedules that are too busy. And what it does is then we are not ready to take advantage of opportunities that come our way. someone offers you a chance to, hey, let's get together this evening, this afternoon, and just to enjoy whatever, and you say, I can't because I got all this stuff going on. We're not ready to take advantage of the opportunity. And when Jesus says, hey, you need to get ready, maybe that is a call to us to look at our calendars and say, hey, all this stuff is good in some way or another, but is all of it necessary? Is all of it really good? Or is it possible for me to use a business expression? Is it possible for me to put some margin in my life? To have a little bit of time every day and certainly in a week, so that if someone calls and says, hey, could you come over? I need a friend. Or, an opportunity arises. Maybe you look at the bulletin and you say, oh, my heart is moved to do that. But now I might have the time because I got ready to say yes. If I could just close with one example of that. I tell you this story not to show off and certainly not to suggest that I get this right all the time. I don't. I did get it right this time. So some of you know I did my seminary training in Boston, and on a particular Thursday, that was our day off, a group of guys had decided we were going to go climb this mountain called Mount Monadnock. And it's more like just a hike. There's a little bit of scrambling up over some boulders, but it's not difficult. But on the day that we woke up to go do this thing, it is pouring rain. And of course, the guys looked at the weather at the mountain and saw that the weather there was just as bad as where we were, and they canceled. Made sense, except to my friend Brian, who knocked on my door right after breakfast and said, "We're not going? I heard we're not going. Why aren't we going?" So I point to the window where it is raining like crazy, and I said, "It's raining." And it's raining up on the mountain, and they think there's even thunderstorms projected for up there. And Brian looks at me, you got to understand this just quizzical look. And he says, "I know the weather. I looked it up myself. Why aren't we going?" Now, you have to understand, Brian had spent 4 years as a Marine infantryman. And that might suggest to you an explanation, because as far as Brian was concerned, weather did not change your plans. Weather might adjust how you went about what you were going to do, but weather was not going to prevent him from going on this hike. And he says to me, "Want to go?" Okay. I said yes. I took advantage of that opportunity, partly and largely, in part because I was intrigued by this, partly because I was prepared to do it, because I didn't need the day to study. I was caught up with my studies, and so giving up a full day, oh, fine. And what happened? Well, we went and we climbed this thing and got crazy wet, got to the top, could not see a thing. That was, you were supposed to, of course, see these beautiful views. We didn't see any of it. We got back down, got on warm clothes, had a lovely dinner on the way back, just had a terrific day. And Brian was encouraged by this, and he says to me a little later, "Hey, we should keep doing this." And we did. 2 of us got to the top of 49 different mountains in New England, most of them in the dead of winter. And it changed me. In other words, this wasn't just, oh, it was fun. No, I need you to understand, those days in the mountains literally changed me. I'm a better person because of all of those climbs and hikes, and I am certainly a better priest because of it. I learned a great deal about myself and about the spiritual life while on those mountains with Brian, and it all started with the fact that I was ready. When Brian offered me that opportunity, I was ready to say yes. That's the challenge to us. We get all these opportunities every day, big opportunities, small opportunities, even an opportunity like that you have no idea where it's going to go. The Lord is encouraging us, be ready. Be ready to take advantage of opportunities that I put in your way. Let's do that.